I wanted to see whether or not these Walker's Ready Salted crisps really are any better than the Tesco variety that are 45p cheaper here at Tesco. And if you're not a Tesco Club card owner, then you're going to spend an extra 25p on the Walker's ones as well. So I've picked up these Tesco Ready Salted crisps and I'm going to put them to the test. And if you're new to the channel, then this channel is all about comparing foods and trying to save money, especially with the economic crisis here in the UK. I'm here to tell you what you should fill your cupboards full of in order to save money while still achieving the same taste and quality that you'd expect from any kind of foods that you buy. Because if you can pay less for the same type of product, then it's a no-brainer. So let's get into the testing. So we're going to start off with everyone's favourite, which is the Walker's Ready Salted 6-pack. You get 6 packets for 25 grams each, 130 calories per bag and 7.7 grams of fat. Now of course everyone loves and favours the Walker's brand. Usually if you give someone any alternative, they're going to want the Walker's ones. There's something about it that draws people in, whether it's the marketing, whether it's just being used to it growing up as a kid having the Walker's crisps. But I'm trying to understand, are these crisps actually worth the price? Because after all, it's potato, dried out, probably fried, and ultimately they have a little bit of seasoning on it, which is literally just salt. So if every single crisp, such as the Tesco crisps, are exactly the same, why would you pay more for these? But of course, it all comes down to branding. You see the Walker's logo, and you want the Ready Salted Walker's crisps. You know it's going to be a good product, you know they're tasty, and you know that they're going to be amazing. But are they worth it? That's the key thing. I've paused just a little bit here on the ingredients and the nutritional value, just in case you're interested in comparing that. And of course it tells you about these being sustainably sourced and all the other bits and bobs that Walker's like to add into their branding. So enough of me talking, I'm going to open up the packet and have a look inside. Now people always complain about packets of crisps because of course you look at the packet and you barely see anything in, it's mostly just air. But what a lot of people forget as well is that there needs to be quite a lot of air in that in order to preserve the crisps. So here's one of the crisps out. It looks exactly like any crisp would expect to look like. No real massive difference here. But some people do say they can tell the difference between these and others just by the look of the crisp. And the taste is great, as you'd expect. So here's what we actually want to get down to. Are these Tesco Ready Salted crisps actually any different? Now there's 133 calories and 8.1 grams of fat, which is actually more than the Walker's, which is quite interesting actually. They look identical on the packet. Sure, there's none of this fancy Walker's branding, and you could argue that the Tesco branding is a little bit less posh overall. Realistically, who actually cares? They look like Ready Salted crisps, and they taste like Ready Salted crisps. But of course, I'm going to taste these straight after the Walker's ones, and actually see if there's any difference. But we've got to remember, this is the same number of packs of crisps, and also the same grams per packet. And they're all potato crisps. They're literally exactly the same. So if you're hungry, ultimately either is going to fill you. It's just whether or not the taste difference for Walker's is actually worth the increase in price. Can you actually justify that? Because here's what I think the problem is in the UK. Shoppers get so used to the branded products that we become brand snobs. Now what I mean by brand snobs is if I said to someone, can I have a packet of crisps? And they gave me a Tesco packet of crisps, it almost feels like it's too cheap. You know, you're expecting a branded product. Now, not everyone lives like that, but a lot of people are grown accustomed to it. If you can afford the branded product, everyone is just going to naturally gravitate towards them. But if we open this packet of crisps, as you can see, it is exactly the same as the other packet of crisps. It's a pack, half filled, admittedly, of crisps, and they're potato crisps. They're exactly the same number of calories, give or take, almost the same amount of fat. They look identical because, of course, potatoes won't look any different no matter how you cook them, unless you bake them, of course, but that's an entirely different crisp. And they taste pretty much identical. Now, interestingly, the Tesco ones have 0.04 grams of salt less, which is barely noticeable. In fact, it looks like it's 1% according to the actual statistics. But actually, the Ready Salted ones for the Tesco version taste more salty than the Walker's version, which makes no sense. They should be equally as salty given the amount of salt that's in them. Now, interestingly, I find the Walker's ones to be slightly more crunchy, but not crunchy enough where I actually notice too much of a difference. If you gave me both packets of crisps, I'm not going to lie, I'd be able to tell the difference because you just get used to them over time. So let's assume you buy 1 pack a week. If the Walker's Ready Salted are on offer with a club card, you're going to save £1.80 a month. Or if they're not on offer, you're going to save £2.80 per month. So if you switch from buying the Walker's Ready Salted to the Tesco Ready Salted, or the other flavours, because all the other flavours are usually the same price, you can mix it up each week, over a year, you'll save £33.60, which doesn't sound like an awful lot, but if at the end of this year, I handed you £33.60, then you're going to take it, aren't you, ultimately? And if you can't tell enough of a difference, I would go with the cheaper Tesco Ready Salted and the other flavours. If this was helpful, you might want to check out the next video on screen and consider subscribing for more videos in the future.